Hello students, we are going to start chapter 7, Weather, Climate and Adaptation of Animals to Climate. You must have heard about the weather report on the television, radio, or you read in the newspaper. Who are responsible to give the report? In this chapter, you will study about the weather, their elements, climates and adaptation in animals to cope up with change in weather and climate to survive. We are going to start with weather. What is weather? All living beings are influenced by the atmospheric conditions around them. So, temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind speed are the various atmospheric conditions. The day-to-day change in these conditions make up the weather. So, all the living beings are influenced by temperature, humidity, rainfall and wind speed. This temperature, humidity, wind and other atmospheric conditions are also called as elements. The weather of a place changes from day to day and week to week. Weather is a complex phenomena that can vary over a short period. Weather describes the conditions such as rain, wind, temperature that occurs during the short period of time at a particular place. The scientists who measure and forecast the weather, they are called as meteorologists. They do this by studying the clouds, winds and temperature and the pressure of the Earth's atmosphere. So scientists who measures and forecast the weather are meteorologists. How do they study? They study the clouds, wind, temperature, pressure of the Earth atmosphere and they give the report of weather. Next, elements of weather. What are the elements of weather? The elements of the weather are temperature, humidity, rainfall and wind. These are the four elements of weather. Temperature. In the early morning, you have a quite pleasant in the summer. As the day advances, it becomes warmer. Why? Because the slanting rays of the slanting sun rays of the morning do not heat up the ground and as such as the direct sun rays at the noon. So maximum and minimum temperature are recorded with the help of maximum and minimum thermometer. Next, humidity. What is humidity? Humidity is a measure of water vapor present in the air. The content of water vapor which is present in the air is called as humidity. At a particular temperature, air can hold only certain amount of water vapor. So, relative humidity is always measured with the help of hygrometer. Temperature is measured with the help of thermometer. Humidity is measured with the help of hygrometer. Next, rainfall. The rainfall is collected in an rain gauge. That is, a rain gauge is a funnel that helps to identify how much rain has been fallen there. At the rain falling into a funnel tickles into a jar. It goes into the jar. At the end of the day, the jar is emptied into a measuring cylinder and which gives the reading of the total rainfall. Next, wind. The sun's heat produces the wind. How the wind is produced? Wind is produced by the sun's heat. And wind speed is always measured with an instrument called as anemometer. So temperature is measured by thermometer, humidity is measured by hygrometer, rainfall is measured by rain gauge, wind is measured by anemometer. Next, climate. Climate describes a region's weather condition over a long period of time, like summer, winters. Every region has its own climate. This depends upon the distance from the equator. As the distance of the equator increases, the climatic conditions changes. The countries which are nearer to the equator, they have hot climate. Why? Because the sun rays directly hit the equator. The region closer to the equator will get much heat and hence will be comparatively hot. High mountain regions such as Himalayas are cooler than the nearby nearby low lying places because they are away from the equator. The oceans can prevent the coastal region from getting hot or very cold. Next, adaptation of animals to different climate. All animals living in a different climate adjust themselves to survive there by adopting the special features or special characters. These characters are called as adaptation. Once again, I am repeating. Animals living in different climate adjust themselves to survive thereby adopting special character. These characters are called as adaptation. Animals are adapted in different ways to cope up with the environment and the availability of the food. So we have different types of climate like hot and dry climate, tropical rainforest, polar region. We'll go one by one. Tropical rainforest. This region is represented by hot and wet climate. This region is located around the equator. They are very hot and they are wet. The temperature of this region is more than 15 degrees in winter and temperature may cross 40 degrees centigrade during the summer. Days and nights are almost equal in the length throughout the year. High temperature and excessive rainfall supports the wide variety of animals and plants. Animals present in the tropical rainforest are adapted to minimize the competition for the food and shelter. Many animals living in the tropical regions are monkeys, snakes, birds, tigers, lions, elephants, insects, etc. Next, extremely cold climate, that is polar region. The polar regions are farthest from the equator and receive least amount of sunlight. As they are polar regions, as they are away from the sun, they receive less sun rays. They are away from the equator. So the temperature are freezing all throughout the year. The soil is covered with the snow and thick layer of ice is in the most of the areas. Animals found in this extremely cold climates are polar bear, Arctic fox, penguins, whales, etc. It means they are near the poles. And near the poles, they are away from the equator. So, less sunlight. If there is less sunlight, the weather will be cold throughout the year. Polar bear have a wide and large paws which helps them to swim and walk on the snow. They can close their nostril while under the water and stay there for a long time. They have a strong sense of smell and can identify the prey from the huge distance. The thick layer of the fur in the polar bear insulate them from the cold. They also have thick layer of fat called as blubber under their skin which keeps them warm. Next, the long white fur of Arctic fox, commonly called as snow fox, camouflages it with the predator and protect them from the cold. So Arctic fox have the white fur which helps to protect them from the predator. During the warmer months, the coat of the color changes to brown, blending with the environment. With the environment, their color changes. The small and round ears, nose, paws of the fox help to prevent the heat loss from the body. Next, most of the animals like polar bear, Arctic hares have the white or light colored fur. It of weak branches that cannot supports its weight. Similarly, many animals have sharp eyesight, sensitive hearing, thick spines as an adaptation. Their skin color may help to hide them in the surroundings, or they may change their skin color similar to that of the background so that they can hide themselves. Next, hot and dry climate. Hot and dry climate have a very high temperature during most part of the year. Winter lasts only for few months, during which the temperature is quite low. The region receives very little rainfall and have typical desert climate. Many reptiles and other animals protect themselves from the extreme temperature by spending their time in the burrows during the day and becoming active at the night. Some animals such as rat, tortoise cannot cope with the heat, and so they undergo summer sleep to escape the heat. Kangaroo rats spend their day in the burrows where the air is moist and humid. Similarly, desert animals excrete very less concentrated of urine to reduce the loss of water, but they can drink large amount of quantity of water at one time. Camels have wide feet that helps them to walk on the sand without sinking into them. Humps of the camels is a reservoir of fat, while water is stored in the blood. A camel can go a week or more without water, and it can last for several months without the food. So these are about some adaptations of the animals to the climate. Till here we have completed this chapter, chapter 7. So from this chapter you can tell about what is weather, what is climate, what are meteorologists, the instrument that uses to measure temperature, the instrument which is used to measure humidity, instrument which is used to measure rain gauge, instrument that is used to measure the wind speed, and about the different type of the climates like tropical rainforest, polar region, hot and dry climates. So we have completed this chapter. Thank you.